بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us all the sincere intention and the proper comprehension. Allahumma ameen. With the beginning of a new year, we must realize that life is made up of years and months and days and hours. And the Muslims, the believers, the righteous and God-fearing believers, throughout every era and time, they increase only in goodness, devotion, piety, and God-fearingness with every year. So with every year that passes, this is like their theme, if you want. They get better and better, and they go higher and higher in rank. May Allah make us amongst those people. Allahumma ameen. So the years do not pass them by except that they are approaching more goodness and racing to perform the righteous deeds and leave behind what Allah has made unlawful. In all of this, the pious people hasten. And this is one of their attributes, that they rush, they hasten to do the good deeds. They rush to collect as many good deeds as they can. Subhanallah, we all know Shaykh Jamil Halim, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, wa atalallahu umurahu. I ask Allah to protect him and to lengthen his lifespan and to grant us to benefit from him immensely. He is someone that comes to your mind right away when you think of those highly righteous Muslims that hasten to do the good deeds. Subhanallah, MashaAllah. He is definitely a slave of Allah, whom Allah has granted His great mercy to, and Allah has facilitated for him to use his time day and night wisely. And people like that are extremely rare, especially nowadays. May Allah protect him and raise his rank. Allahumma ameen. Allah the Exalted said in the Quran, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This ayah means, and rush to forgiveness from your Lord and to a garden whose width is as wide as the heavens and earth side by side. It was prepared for the God-fearing, for the highly righteous, al-muttaqun, the pious people. The knowledgeable people said, one must be cautious not to waste his life in vain. In the passing of 1 year and the arrival of another is a lesson and a reminder that this worldly life does not remain constant. It doesn't remain upon the same state. وَكَمَا قَالُوا هَذِهِ الدُّنْيَا لَا تَصْفُو لِأَحَدٍ. As it was said, this worldly life is not pure for anyone, meaning that no one gets mere happiness and joy. No one gets just that. No one lives day and night, month after month, year after year in pure happiness and joy, without any hardship, without any trial, without any struggle. That's not how it is. هذه الدنيا لا تصفو لأحد. It is not pure for anyone. Subhanallah. Even if it may seem that it's like that, it's not like that. And especially in this age of social media where there are so many fake things online, people that show you like a facade. And a lot of people, unfortunately, actually fall for it. They really do. And it affects them. It throws people into depression and to mental illness. And it can get even more extreme than that for some people, because they wonder, why don't I have what these people have? Why am I not in a state like what these people are in? But really, this dunya, it's not happiness and joy absolutely for anyone. So even if someone shows you that side, be certain that there's another side that they are not showing you. And what is new in this life, it wears out. What is new eventually wears out and becomes old. And its days are numbered. And the appointed times of death are written. They said, this dunya is like a vanishing shadow. Imagine that, a shadow. It's already something that you can't grasp, right? A shadow. So they said the dunya is like a vanishing shadow, or like the dreams of a sleeping person. So beware of heedlessness in it. Allah the Exalted said in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf, وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا كَمَاءٍ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ فاختلط به نبات الأرض فأصبح هشيما تذروه الرياح وكان الله على كل شيء مقتدرا. This verse means, and give them an example of this earthly life. It is like water that we brought down from the sky. Then the plants of the earth mix with that water and become dense. But eventually they become withered and dispersed by the winds. And in eternity, Allah was over everything absolutely powerful. One of the pious predecessors used to say, كل يوم يعيش فيه المؤمن فهو غنيمة. Every day that a believer lives is a gain. It means that it's a great opportunity. You've gained something. You can actually do something with this gain. It's a great opportunity. So use it in obedience. And they used to look at it like that. Like if they woke up, they would be so happy that they saw another day, because they don't expect, many of these people, they actually don't expect to wake up. And if they wake up, they don't actually expect to see the nightfall. And so if they got that, they were really happy that they had some more time to work in seeking the acceptance of Allah and seeking a higher rank. And for us, perhaps it isn't like that right now. We don't have this exact mentality, perhaps. But the closer one gets to the acceptance of Allah, they actually do start to think like that. They look at their time, their minutes, and their hours completely different. They look at it in a very different way. Subhanallah. And the deeds are judged by their endings. It was mentioned that whoever rectifies what remains of his life, they will be forgiven for what has passed of it. But whoever does evil in what remains, he will be held accountable for both what remains and what has passed. And what has passed of a person's life, even if its periods were long, its pleasures are gone, and its consequences remain. And it will be as though it never existed once death and its appointed time arrive. Allah the Exalted said in the Quran, أَفَرَأَيْتَ إِن مَّتَّعْنَاهُمْ سِنِينَ ثُمَّ جَاءَهُم مَّا كَانُوا يُوعَدُونَ مَا أَغْنَىٰ عَنْهُم مَّا كَانُوا يُمَتَّعُونَ. These verses mean, how about if we gave them enjoyment for some years? Then the torture they were promised came to them. What pleasures they were given will not avail them. Those pleasures, they will not be able to stop what's coming. And they will not be able to protect the person. What benefit will they actually give the person? When one of the pious predecessors recited this verse, he cried so deeply, saying that when death comes, that is, at the moment of death, all the pleasures and the luxuries will no longer benefit the person. Think about it. What can the pleasures and comforts do for any of us if our soul is about to be taken out? Abu al-Atahiyah composed a couplet for Harun al-Rashid. He was a caliph. So when this caliph built a palace and he summoned his courtiers, his advisors, and other people to his court, he asked Abu al-Atahiyah what he thought of it, what he thought of his palace. And so Abu al-Atahiyah responded to him in verse. He said to him, عِشْ مَا بَدَى لَكَ سَالِمًا في ظل شاهقة القصور يسعى عليك بما اشتهيت لدى الرواح وفي البكور فإذا النفوس تقعقعت في ضيق حجرجة الصدور فهناك تعلم موقنا ما كنت إلا في غرور. He said to him, live as long as you wish, securely under the shade of towering palaces, this palace that you built. You will have whatever you desire. Think about it. If a person lives in a palace like that, he will have so many servants, so many people that rush to help this person fulfill his every wish, it might be said. So he said to him, live as long as you wish, securely under the shade of towering palaces. You will have whatever you desire, at dusk and at dawn. But when the souls clatter in distress, in the tight confinement of the chests, there you will know with certainty that you were only in a state of delusion. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant me and you to use our time in the way that Allah accepts. And may Allah bless our time immensely, whatever time we have left. Allahumma ameen. Now, today, at the dawn of this new Hijri year, we remember the life of our beloved Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam. A man with a biography that is filled with insight and invaluable lessons, alayhi salatu wassalam. The stations of his life, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, serve as a guide for the path of seekers across times and places, especially in our present era, for those seeking the guidance of the Prophet at a time of the estrangement of al-Islam, at a time when al-Islam has become something strange to the people. Our times that we live in testify to the truthfulness of the words of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam that were narrated by Al-Imam Muslim rahimahullah in his Sahih from our master Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, from the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, that he said, بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود غريبا كما بدأ فطوبى للغرباء. He said, Al-Islam began as something strange, and it will return to being strange to the people as it was when it started. So extremely blessed are the strangers. Meaning like glad tidings to the strangers. And this should be taken as words of encouragement and comfort for the strangers of this time. They should seek encouragement and more steadfastness and firmness upon the truth that they are upon through something like this hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. He's letting us know Islam will be seen as something strange amongst the people as it was when it first spread. And then he said, extremely blessed at that time will be the strangers. And it's no surprise to you, you know this very well, that these people, these strangers, they will face a lot of hardships. At times from their own family members, at times from their neighbors and people in their community, and people in general. They will face a lot of hardships because they are sticking to the truth at a time when people don't recognize the truth for what it is. And so they will be seen as strange. They will be seen as outcasts in some sense. Subhanallah. And just as al-Islam was foreign to the people in your time, O Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we see it has become strange now once more. For those who speak in line with the creed of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, teaching it and spreading his noble teachings amongst the people, warning against evil and the people of misguidance, these people are few indeed when compared to the vast majority of others, and they are viewed as strange, and it's so sad. But the Prophet said, extremely blessed will be the strangers. Alhamdulillah that we have witnessed another Hijri year pass upon this nation of Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. At the same time, you can see that the enemies of al-Islam, of this ummah, have become widespread, attacking the nation in different ways, as the Prophet mentioned in the hadith as well. And the blood which is spilled unjustly has increased, as well as those who invade the Muslim lands. This is what we are witnessing nowadays, right? In the East and the West. The teachings of the Prophet ﷺ have become strange again. Most of the people have moved away from these honorable teachings, except whoever Allah granted steadfastness upon the correct way, upon the teachings of his Prophet ﷺ. Otherwise, people are lost, and people are far away from the teachings of the Prophet and his methodology ﷺ. So at the beginning of this Hijri year, it's good for us to take some benefits from the honorable biography of our Prophet ﷺ. And we look to a great event that had profound historical impact, which is the migration, the blessed migration of the Prophet from Mecca to Medina, Hijrah. And through this single pivotal event, the Islamic mission, the call, became a global civilization in under a quarter century. Subhanallah al-Azim. And it was this great event, that is the Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ, that our master Umar ibn al-Khattab chose as the beginning of the Islamic history. He used this point such that it became known as the Hijri calendar. What a magnificent event it was, and a great occurrence in history by which Allah the Exalted honored al-Islam and the Muslims and disgraced polytheism, al-shirk, wal-mushrikun, and the polytheists. I want to remind myself and you that the prophetic Hijrah was not a journey of rest in this worldly life, nor was it an escape from worldly hardship and struggles to comfort. It wasn't that. And it was not a leisure trip of relaxation or a chance to discover some new lands, like from Mecca to Medina. It wasn't any of that. Rather, it was the history of a nation, a great journey led by the master of mankind, alayhi salatu wassalam, the best of creation, the seal of the prophets, the adornment of the messengers, the leader of the pious, our beloved, our master Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. This is our prophet who migrated in obedience to the command of Allah. And this is very important. The prophet did not migrate out of cowardice, nor lack of bravery, nor was he fleeing in fear. No, it wasn't any of that. This is important to spread amongst people so they understand what took place. And the companion who was with him was no ordinary companion. That fellow traveler of the path was none other than Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiyallahu anhu, the one known for being the foremost in affirming the truth, yani the truthfulness of what the Prophet came with, alayhi salatu wassalam. He was the companion of the Prophet in times of ease and hardship. And he was a companion that was, yes, gentle. He had gentleness in him. He had softness in him. This was known about him. But at the same time, he was a lion, radiyallahu anhu. And he was devoted to the mission of the Prophet, the call to al-Islam, his entire life. Through all conditions, even after the death of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, and after his own death, we see that he is the companion of the Prophet in the Rawdah. He's in his grave next to the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam. He was granted a unique honor in the noble Quran. And this distinction that was granted to our master Abu Bakr surpasses all the righteous and all the devout people. As is known, his virtue remains unmatched throughout the passage of time. There is no determination or ambition, no matter how strong, that has ever reached the heights of the excellence of our master Abu Bakr. May Allah raise his rank. About him, the knower of all secrets, that is Allah, says, إِلَّا تَنْصُرُوهُ فَقَدْ نَصَرَهُ اللَّهُ إِذْ أَخْرَجَهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا فأنزل الله سكينته عليه وأيده بجنود لم تروها وجعل كلمة الذين كفروا السفلى وكلمة الله هي العليا والله عزيز حكيم. So here we need to be clear about something. I'm mentioning it again because it's of great significance. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not leave Mecca out of cowardice, nor was he fleeing out of fear. Rather, Allah the Exalted gave the Prophet the permission to migrate at the time that the kuffar wanted to drive the Prophet out. So that command came at that time. So he didn't leave because they were driving him out and he was fleeing away from them in fear or anything like that. No, it wasn't that. It was because the order of Allah came. That's why the Prophet left. Allah commanded him to do so, so he left. Alayhi salatu wassalam. So this verse that I recited now from Surah At-Tawbah, it means if you do not support the Prophet, well, Allah is who certainly supported him. When those who disbelieved drove him to leave Mecca, as the second of two, he supported him. When they were both in the cave, the Prophet ﷺ and our master Abu Bakr, when saying to his companion Abu Bakr, who was concerned about the pagans discovering them, do not be afraid and anxious. Surely Allah supports us. So Allah the Exalted sent down His serenity upon him and supported him with armies of angels which you did not see. And he made the word that is the call to paganism and kufr, blasphemy, of those who disbelieved, the inferior, defeated word. And the word of Allah, that is ash-shahada, the testifications of faith, the call to al-Islam, it is the superior and dominant word. And Allah is almighty in granting support, wise in his misguidance of the pagans. So, to this and other verses and well-known reports, the praise for our master Abu Bakr is obvious and it's abundant. It's clear as the sun in its brightness. His virtues, radiyallahu anhu, exceed those of the virtuous people, and his excellence surpasses that of every debater and scholar. Allah the Exalted also revealed about him, he's included in this verse, لا يستوي منكم من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل أولئك أعظم درجة من الذين أنفقوا من بعد وقاتلوا وكلا وعد الله الحسنى والله بما تعملون خبير. This means there is no equality between those amongst you who spent for the sake of Allah, who gave for the sake of Allah before the conquest of Mecca, and also fought, and those who did not. There's no equality, and we talked about this in previous classes. They have a greater level, a higher rank, than those who spent afterwards and fought. However, Allah the Exalted revealed what means. However, both parties, both groups, Allah has promised them the best, paradise. And Allah is, about all that you do, all-knowing, and shall pay you for it, shall recompense you for it. Our master Abu Bakr, may Allah raise his rank and benefit us by him, he gave up his wealth and his worldly possessions, choosing instead to be the target of trials and the bearer of burdens. He abandoned what people typically value, whether that be jewels or treasures or other worldly possessions. He gave that all up. May Allah raise his rank. جزاه الله عنا وعن هذه الأمة خيرا عظيما. May Allah reward him greatly for what he has done for us and this nation. May Allah reward him with the best of reward. There are two types of hijrah. A physical one by one's body, which was obligatory in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and that's from the holy, sanctified land of Mecca to the city of Medina. And there's another type of hijrah, which the scholars said this one is a spiritual hijrah. And it's the hijrah from the humiliation of sin to the honor of obedience. And this one here remains binding upon us. The hijrah, brothers and sisters, was always a pursuit of something better, but it was never an act of escape. It was never an act of cowardice, never an escape from confrontation, nor was it a pursuit of ease or worldly gain. Relief from that hardship that they had, yes, it included that. But it wasn't a pursuit of ease or worldly gain. Rather, as we mentioned, it was a divine command from Allah the Exalted. The scholars said it was a calculated move, fulfilling the conditions of victory, establishing the elements of empowerment, and preparing for determined resistance, choosing the right time and place to confront the enemy and uphold Allah's rule on earth and raise the banner of triumph and honor. And that banner is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. In this declaration of At-Tawheed lies the honor of both this world and the hereafter. And in it is the promise of empowerment by the will of Allah. Allah the Exalted said in the Quran in Surah Al-Munafiqun, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The nobility is for Allah and for His Messenger and for the believers. So Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, our beloved, our master, our leader, our role model, the master of all creation, alayhi salatu wassalam, he migrated himself, accompanied by his companion, in order to deliver this testimony, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, in order to spread this creed, which is the creed of dignity and empowerment, the creed of At-Tawheed, which every prophet of Allah came with, alayhimus salam. And the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, he had revived this call after it had disappeared from the face of the earth. And what is this creed? It is a belief built upon glorifying Allah the Exalted and clearing Him from all imperfections, from all non-befitting attributes. It is a belief that affirms that Allah is the creator of everything, good and evil, the deeds and the movements of the slaves, their bodies, their intentions, all of their actions. Allah created everything that enters into existence. And this is the meaning of La ilaha illallah, that there is no creator except Allah. He is the creator of place and time. He's the creator of the heavens, the skies, and the earths. He is the creator of the Arsh, the throne, the biggest creation that He created, and the Kursi, which is another very large creation. And Allah is the creator of the 6 directions, above and below, the right and the left, in front of and behind. Allah created these 6 directions. And Allah is not in need of any of His creation. It is not permissible to say that Allah exists in every place. This is not permissible for someone to say Allah exists in every place or Allah is everywhere. This is not something permissible to say. Nor is it permissible to say that Allah exists in the sky. Nor is it permissible to say that Allah is sitting on the throne. All of these beliefs, they actually go against the belief that the prophets came with. And that belief that every prophet of Allah came with is Allahu mawjudun bila makan. Allah exists without being confined to a place. Meaning Allah exists without a place. The creator of place, who existed before places, still exists without a place. Just as He existed before places without a place, He still exists without a place. He didn't enter into His creation, subhanah. Change is not an attribute of God. Allah said in the Quran, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. There is nothing like him in any way whatsoever, and he is attributed with hearing and sight. Meaning his attributes are not like the attributes of the creation. Yes, he sees, but without eyes, and he hears, but without ears. His attributes are not like the attributes of the creation. And last week, we mentioned briefly some statements that take the person out of Islam. And we mentioned now, in clarifying the creed of the Muslims, and we negated the non-befitting attributes from Allah. The one who has done or believed or said anything which contradicts, goes against this Sunni creed of Muslims must immediately, this is what the scholars said, and this is what Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah are upon, they must immediately disavow such statements, renounce those statements, those doings, and or those beliefs. And they do that by uttering the testimonies of faith. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, or I testify that no one is God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God, for example. They don't renounce kufr by saying astaghfirullah, which means I seek forgiveness from Allah. No. A person cannot say astaghfirullah in a situation like this to renounce blasphemy. Rather, one gets rid of kufr, blasphemy, by declaring the testimonies of faith. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. This is something really, really important to know. One does not say astaghfirullah in a situation like this. For the scholars said the one who does that, he would actually increase in kufr. He would increase in blasphemy. Why? Because they are asking Allah to forgive them without them embracing al-Islam. When they did something or said something or believed something that invalidated their belief. It invalidated their shahada, which means they're not considered Muslim. So now what do they have to do to come back to al-Islam? It's not by saying astaghfirullah. It's by saying the testifications of faith. A non-Muslim doesn't become a Muslim by saying astaghfirullah. Rather, they become a Muslim by saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah in any language, while believing in it. And if a person had a blasphemy occur from them, like what we just mentioned here, then they have the intention of embracing al-Islam and renouncing any kufr that came from them, that occurred from them. This is the creed. This is the honorable belief for which the Prophet ﷺ migrated to deliver, to spread across the lands and to establish it firmly. Subhanallah. And Allah the Exalted supported and aided His Prophet ﷺ with the frailest of homes, which is the house of the spider, the spider web. It's considered the weakest of all homes. Allah the Exalted said in the Quran, مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتا وإن أهون البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون. This verse means the example of those who took idols as worshipped lords instead of Allah is like the example of the spider that takes a house for itself. Yani, what kind of house does it take? It makes a spider web. Allah said what means, and certainly the weakest of houses is indeed the house of the spider. Had only they known that their religion is that weak. Yani, that what they're upon is false, and hence it's so weak. So a tree, two doves and their nest, and a spider and its webs. The scholar said these were the troops that the people saw. These were what Allah the Exalted supported His Prophet with. And the troops that were unseen to the people were the angels. For the Prophet was also supported by angels. I remind myself and you, for anyone that has children, to mention these benefits to your children. Mention what you learn and benefit from the blessed Hijrah to the children, so that they can grow up understanding this significant event that took place in Islamic history. And one more thing before we end, subhanallah. The Muslims of Al-Medina, they waited eagerly to see the Prophet ﷺ and to witness his arrival. It was mentioned that some of them, they climbed trees to look far in the distance, hoping to even see a trace of the Prophet, that he was coming, that he was approaching. And then one day, while the people were waiting in eagerness and intense anticipation, at a time when the heat of the sun reached its peak. And then suddenly, a man, he shouted out, "Ha qad jaa man tantadhiruna ya ahl al-Madinah." He whom you've been waiting for has come, O people of Al-Madinah. And so the crowds turned back, rushing joyfully to welcome the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's when they started chanting the very famous chant that is known in Al-Islam, طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت المدينة مرحبا يا خير داع. It means the full moon rose upon us from the valley of Al-Wada'. Gratitude is incumbent upon us as long as one calls to Allah. O you who have been sent amongst us, you came with a command to be obeyed. You came and honored Al-Madinah. Welcome, O best of those who call to Allah. Subhanallah, this chant is very famous amongst Muslims. And the people of Al-Madinah, they went and they greeted the Prophet ﷺ, and people outside were calling out, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, the Messenger of Allah has come, Muhammad has come, ﷺ. Everyone was so happy to see him. And the scholars said that when our beloved Prophet entered Al-Madinah, it became pleasant by his arrival. And so thereafter it was known as Taiba. That's why it has this name, which means like the pleasant, sweet city, if you want. And it was mentioned that whatever was once dark became illuminated after the arrival of the Prophet. And Al-Madinah used to be a land known for plague. And all of that changed after the Prophet ﷺ entered it. After which its water, its air and its soil became purified and blessed, because the Prophet ﷺ supplicated for Al-Madinah. May Allah the Exalted raise the Prophet's rank and protect his nation from what he feared for it. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.